Welcome back. If you're watching this video, I hope you've been practicing hard because this tutorial depends entirely on your mastery of the content from the previous step, caricature voices and accessorization. In this lesson, we're going to take what you learned in the previous step and begin applying it directly to your baseline voice. Think of this like an overlay or a filter. Previously, you learned how to brighten your voice, lower its perceived age and size, and how to produce sultry tones. Now we are going to begin adding those elements to the baseline voice itself. A useful way to think about this is with a simple comparison. Your baseline voice is like your face without makeup. Your caricature voices are the makeup. Today, you'll begin choosing which accessories you want to add to your mixed voice. For example, brighten vowels like those used in the hyperbright voice, sultry aftertones, a hint of a growl, hesitation, vulnerability, those kinds of things. The goal is not to shift completely into one of the caricature voices. Instead, the goal is to borrow elements from them and layer those elements over top of your baseline voice. Think of this process as additive rather than a replacement. Start simply with your baseline voice, work your way up to reading full passages. After that, give your caricature voices a short warm-up, and then begin experimenting by blending small pieces of them together. For example, maybe you add 10% more brightness. Maybe you lengthen the ends of words slightly. Maybe you lower the pitch just a little. This is going to be a pretty long demonstration. I'm going to start with baseline on a sample of words, and then I'm going to cover all three different voices, and then I'm going to go back to baseline and start overlaying all three of those voices so that we change the baseline to be what we want, okay? It's going to sound like this. Scenario, remunerate, democratic, literacy, temporary, facility, hierarchy, reality. Now in hyperbright, scenario, remunerates, democratic, literacy, temporary, facility, hierarchy, reality. Now in dom, scenario, remunerates, democratic, literacy, temporary, facility, hierarchy, reality. And now in a submissive sultry, scenario, remunerate, democratic, literacy, temporary, facility, hierarchy, reality. And now with a mix from baseline, let's add a little bit more brightness from our normal baseline. So instead of scenario, let's go scenario. Now let's add a little bit of sultry aftertones to that. Scenario. Now maybe a little bit of maybe dominance. Scenario, remunerates, democratic, literacy, temporary, facility, hierarchy, reality. Play around with the ratios of the caricature voices until you discover a voice that you genuinely like. I highly suggest using a vocal model for this step. Find an actress or feminine voice that you admire. The more attractive or appealing you find the voice, the better. Listen closely to that voice and write down what specifically you find attractive about it. Those qualities will become your targets. They are the elements you'll attempt to introduce into your own voice. Start with the baseline voice, then begin adding elements from the hyper bright voice until your voice reaches the size and apparent age that you want. After that, add elements from the sultry voices until the voice carries the emotional quality you're looking for. Ask yourself questions like, is the voice sensual? Is it intentionally sexy? Is it mellow? Is it relaxed or reserved? Use the sultry voice elements to recreate those emotional qualities. Then begin the process of recording and playback. Record, listen, adjust, record again. Repeat this process until you eventually create a voice that makes you blush. That's the one. That's the voice. As soon as you find it, record it. That recording becomes your reference point, your goal moving forward. From there, practice that voice repeatedly until it becomes habitual. Eventually, the voice you summon when you want to sound like yourself will simply be that new mix voice. At this stage of training, I strongly recommend moving into full immersion. Use your new voice everywhere, as often as possible. Read road signs while driving to work. Make up random words to say to yourself in the shower or bath. Play with your voice constantly. Order food at drive-thrus. Spend time in voice chats. Anything that helps you and this voice stick. If you need assistance during the stage, I understand. Feedback is always available. However, this phase of the process must ultimately be chosen by you. You are the one who decides what your forever voice will sound like. It should bring you happiness, pride, and a sense of power. And most importantly, it should be fun to play with. As with any voice you discover and want to practice, begin with simple syllables and gradually work your way up in difficulty until you can comfortably read full sentences and paragraphs. For demonstration, I'm going to use the choices I made earlier with regards to my baseline, which was increased brightness, sultry aftertones, and a dominant aftertaste. It's going to sound, for me, like this. There is nothing more rare nor more beautiful than a woman being unapologetically herself, comfortable in her perfect imperfection. To me, that is the true essence of beauty. This step has been relatively simple, but it's also one of the most meaningful and important steps of the entire process. See you in the final step of the series. Bye, girlies.
I began to understand this path was always mine. I chose to follow it, even when it was difficult, because it was right.